with a cat Biden farts. Biden farts, Biden farts, Biden farts, Biden farts.
Join Mug. That's the sound of Monday. Glad to be with you. I know that many of you hate the Biden chart song, the, of course, send up of the wonderful, time-honored classic Baby Shark. So just know that I hate it with you. We have a lot to get to today. I'm most excited to get to, I don't know if you know this, Kamala Harris is on a blitz. She's on a press blitz. Blitz, meaning the first time she's ever appeared on press ever. And she appeared on the Call Her Daddy podcast. Don't throw up in your mouth a little. And it's about as bad as an appearance gets. As far as when people talk about division in the country, let me ask this. Who do you think actually is sowing more division in this country? Because we hear that a lot. Is it Donald Trump or is it Kamala Harris or by extension the DNC? We'll get to this appearance and I will make my case. References available. Also, Donald Trump just had a rally in Butler. Butler, Pennsylvania. Is it one of the greatest rallies in political history or the greatest rally in political history? I leave the decision to you. Also, Hillary Clinton hates free speech. We'll talk about that. She wants to be a misinformation czar. So we'll be talking about a lot today. If at some point and you're watching on YouTube, you see this, head on over to Rumble because we will not censor ourselves here on YouTube. And you should be watching on Rumble anyway, especially as we get to the election live stream of the century. We have no idea if we will be. And by that, I mean strong chance we will. Live show weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. How are you, Captain Morgan, CEO?
Doing well now. I'm worried I'm going to get us banned again. It was me last. Well, no, it wasn't me.
Yeah, you had the gall to quote the CDC.
Yeah. By the way, if Hillary Clinton becomes that czar, she's not going to ban you. She's just going to suicide you in a way that's physically impossible.
Yes.
And everybody will buy it.
Yes. So, Wild Robot.
A movie.
Yeah.
It's
worth it. You guys can let me know. I think Toolman, we were talking about how it unironically became a very pro-motherhood movie. I could tell they were going for the global warming push for like any two parents, lesbian mom type thing. I'm not saying they were saying the robot was a lesbian, but like, all families are the same. And instead, it ended up being a female robot who was taught how to be a mom by a male fox and then found the joy through motherhood was more fulfilling than fulfilling the task for which she was programmed to do, her job.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah. It was a wonderful.
It was good.
Yeah. It was a lot of
moments, but that's weird.
Directed by Harrison Butker.
All right. When you hear him, you know him, you love him, you hear this. He is going to be at Bricktown Comedy Club, Oklahoma City, October 26th. Mr. Josh Firestein, how are you?
Good. I'm also watching movies I haven't seen. Finally got around to Lion King 2.
Oh no.
It was all right.
What's Lion King 2? Simba's Pride?
Yeah.
Oh,
you nailed it. You knew it.
Yeah, I did.
Simba's. Yeah, I like Lion King 2.5. Simba's proud. Okay. Just give up.
There they go. Simba.
Simba chops off his pride.
Yes, exactly.
Simba's Pride Month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Simba's Pride.
Thank you, somebody for finishing.
There was Aladdin 2. It was like, that was the first VHS sequel. It was like Jafar's Beard or something.
Oh, no.
Wasn't it something like that? I don't know. Something of Jafar.
It was like the thieves, the 30 Thieves.
The Secrets of Jafar. I don't know. It was an origin story. Turns out he's bad. Also, in the red chair today, we do, in honor of the segment, we actually have a former Hillary Clinton staffer.
Nice. Good theme song.
Yeah, it would be better if we had someone in the fourth chair who talked. But
nope,
here we are.
Can't do it.
It is, of course, October 7th. And, I just want to make sure this isn't lost on people. Everyone's saying, thoughts and prayers. There are still Americans, who are not only kidnapped, but 4 Americans.
Amazon hates this, but there's nothing they can do to stop it. There's a new electric lighter out there, and it's got the firepower
who are still, as far as we know, hostage. I mean, assuming, I don't necessarily know if we know who's alive and who's
Right,
not.
exactly.
That's the story that we're getting. So prayer for the families affected, of course, not just the Americans, but remember, that does involve the United States at that point. They have still
Yeah.
and are holding hostage American citizens. So, yeah.
That's nearly 100 people overall right now. And like you said, I'm hostage and not knowing what's going on.
And it's one of those things where you don't want to politicize it. You don't want to take cheap shots. They are going to be doing it here. They'll be doing a candle lighting ceremony, I believe, at the White House. Unfortunately, they're all jack-o'-lanterns, so that's tasteless. I would say. All right, let's go to Hillary.
Know the difference, though. That's the problem.
Yeah,
for Biden. Yeah, sounds right.
Hillary Clinton. This is moving weird today. Hillary Clinton. Let's just watch what she said this weekend. I don't know if you know this. Free speech. The Clintons not good bedfellows.
We should be, in my view, repealing something called Section 230, which gave, platforms on the internet immunity because they were thought to be just pass-throughs, that they shouldn't be judged for the content that is posted. But we now know that that was an overly simple view, that if the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control.
It's almost like she said the quiet part out loud. Yeah. We lose total control.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, which also will bring us to the Butler, Pennsylvania rally. Elon Musk is not taking the easiest path. Elon Musk just needs to step. If he just wanted to live a happy life, considering that he actually made the single largest tax payment, I believe, ever.
By a private citizen in the history of the Earth.
History of Earth. He could just sit here and he could be pro Kamala, say, "Oh yeah, we need moderated content, and we need to do away with misinformation," and he would be on easy street. Instead, he's actually, I think he unveiled the Twitter files. I think he looked and said, "Wow, it's as bad as everyone has said." This is not the easiest path for him, and I think that's an important facet to take into account while we're looking at judging people by their decisions and actions. Because they can't judge him by his accent. Is it South African? Is it Swedish? I don't know.
It's changed.
This is not, though, Hillary Clinton. It's not unique to her. I want to be very clear. They try and say that conservatives, that Republicans are banning books. No, they're banning pornography in schools with children. The left wants to ban speech consistently, and it's the only platform. You can disagree with me. Comment below. I will make this statement in the affirmative. The left is the only political wing in the United States that is systematically pushing for the elimination of viewpoints they don't like online.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Yes, there is.
If people go to only one source, and the source they go to is sick, and has an agenda, and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence.
We're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation. It's one thing to have differing opinions, but it's another thing entirely to just say things that are false.
Okay.
She would know a lot about that, by the way.
Yes. Now, to be clear, we've talked about this for a very long time. Section 230, it also, it falls under this umbrella to safe harbor laws. We've had my half-Asian lawyer come out and talk about this. Basically, it means that platforms are supposed to be neutral, whether it's YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, Meta, right? They're basically treated like carriers. For example, if you're on Verizon and you say something offensive, you say something that the government doesn't like or is deemed too offensive, they can't simply shut down your service, right? This is very different from a publisher like New York Times or like the Wall Street Journal, where they're held liable for the kind of content that they put out. They are actually publishers, not platforms, meaning they have editorial control. Section 230 is supposed to require that platforms be neutral. Unfortunately, that's not how it actually exists in practice. So they're allowed to moderate based on only, obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessively violent, harassing. Or the problem here is or otherwise objectionable content.
Ah, that's it. That's the one.
And that's the problem. The left uses that as a very, very broad definition to mean anything anti-trans, anti-L. So let me just walk you along the path. Section 230, they're supposed to be politically neutral, right? They're supposed to allow content, no matter how offensive, of all viewpoints, as long as it is not effectively criminal. Just like Verizon, just like AT&T, Vonage, if you're still using them, Cricket for the... Sorry. I guess they're not a carrier. There's a phone.
Really quickly, CNN is doing the fact check right now. They're literally going over the points that we're going to be fact checking the fact checkers with later. They have Daniel Dale on. We don't need to go to it. I just wanted to show you guys like in real time.
Yeah, we're going to be fact checking the fact checkers.
We're going to get them.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
And all the references are publicly available. So let me give you an example. All right. What is legal? What is political speech? Okay. You're not allowed to say, hey, I want to drag gays from behind a truck. You shouldn't be. That's encouraged. Or you're not allowed to say, let's go harm this gay. That's a crime, right? That's a violent crime. Okay. But then the left says, well, hold on a second. We're going to broadly apply that to anti-LGBTQ. So now if you say, well, I don't believe two men should get married, that's hate speech. Or if you say, actually, we're at the point, I believe that biological sex is an actual thing, and they frame that as anti-LGBTQ, that is otherwise objectionable, and it is disallowed political speech online because the left wants to broaden those terms where everything is hate speech. If you say the pay gap is a myth, they've qualified that as hate speech. So Section 230 does need to be framed in. They want it to be framed out, effectively that.
Yeah.
That's the description. We want them to be beholden to the same rules they sign on to. Pick a lane. Are you a publisher? Are you a platform? Not to give them the benefits of being a platform while allowing them to be a publisher. Do you understand the difference? Does that explain it? Yeah.
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 All right.
Yeah.
And let me give you some more examples because you're saying, well, I don't know, maybe they are not actually banning people for saying the pay gap is a myth. We've seen these from the Twitter files and also experienced it. Yours truly been banned quite a bit. The Biden-Harris administration specifically targeted topics like the COVID lab leak theory. People were removed, banned from platforms for espousing that. And it seems now that it's close to at least just as likely as the Wuhan wet market. You were banned if you questioned the efficacy of lockdowns or mask mandates, vaccines, if you questioned the legitimacy of the 2020 election, even, by the way, calling them out, for example, voter rolls that were in error or mass mail-in voting that was inefficient or, for example, ballot harvesting, things that have been recognized, by the way, legally, court cases that have been won and laws have been changed as the result of this kind of interference, or if you want to call it voting anomalies. Those were bannable offenses on social media because of the Biden-Harris administration. Are you getting the picture? Zuckerberg said this was the case. He said that he regretted censoring what should have been protected speech because of the pressure from this administration. Now you have someone who is vying for a spot in this administration saying, we need to ban more people.
Yeah.
Vote for us.
Total control.
Yes. Vote for us. We will ban more people. Right here. Just so you know, we've been targeted so many times. I mean, we've lost millions upon millions of dollars in revenue. The Vox Apocalypse was one, right, where we were completely demonetized. You had senators saying that this was hate speech. YouTube said it wasn't, so they created a new law basically to allow that. We were banned from Facebook multiple times, right? And we actually found the Gizmodo article. It was baked into their actual code. All references available at louderwithcrowder.com. We were removed for actually quoting the CDC here on this show, where Gerald, we brought up the overlay. This is why we were not here for the midterm elections.
Yeah.
More children die from the standard flu every year than COVID. We did not say COVID was not a thing. We did not say that older people are not at greater risk for COVID or the immune compromised. We acknowledged all those things and said, but it is interesting that the flu is deadlier for children, which is now okay because it's commonly accepted.
Well, just to be clear, 4 out of the last 10 years, and it was the Kerry Lake thing that got us banned for the midterms.
Oh, that's
Wasn't
right.
me. I listen. I don't.
That
think
was
that was not me.
No, it was both of them, because when you have the 2 strikes, you can't stream back then. Now they changed it to 1 strike.
Because
You
it
can't
ended
stream.
up doing longer.
It was the double. It was the
Yeah.
double. So it's
Okay.
still your
It
fault.
is my
Yeah,
fault.
it's half
You're
your
right.
fault.
I guess
You-
so.
yeah.
Yeah. And we may not be here, by the way, if Hillary Clinton has, we may not be here for the election. We will still have the election live stream this century on Rumble and, of course, on Mug Club. We make no revenue off of YouTube. We are entirely funded by viewers like you. So, hey, look, this is that time. If you have been on the fence, consider signing up. Click the button below if you're watching on Rumble, or go to louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. Election night, we have something that no network and no other show has. We have data and we have boots on the ground in a way that we will accurately be able to call this election in a way that no one has, at least in the last decade, and will be able to that night. But it's entirely funded by viewers like you.
Yeah. And by the way, when I'm talking to people about this, nobody's ever attempted to do what we're doing. It's not just having a map where you can kind of call states and get the data feed. That in and of itself, that's a huge leap for us. It's having boots on the ground in all these swing states and a system built for you to be able to report what is happening, so it immediately gets out and gets investigated as quickly as possible so that it doesn't happen and then get memory hold. That is different than anybody else is doing it mainstream or online.
And it's very, very expensive.
Yeah. We'll be there the whole time too, by the way. Me and Gerald got bunk beds set up.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I got top bunk.
Yeah. Well, we didn't even ask you to.
That's weird.
It's just weird that the bunk beds hydraulically merge together.
We can add a third.
I don't think it's bunk beds at that point.
Do you want?
I think that's just a Kamala internship.
Ooh.
Oh, come on.
What do you think,
Sounds fun.
Clinton staffer?
Just
Okay.
You need to work on your organ music.
Yeah. Well, he is dead.
by the way,
Getting a second win there, are you, Vince?
yeah. You don't know this, but we have one of the best organists in the country that is a huge fan of this show that's listening. Is like, I could have done better.
Yeah.
Not even kidding. That's not a joke.
I apologize, self-serious organist.
He's very good.
You should play at baseball games.
Yes, he could do better than that.
All right, Saturday, President Trump, some people call him former president, some people call him sitting president. I call him sitting president, okay?
Yeah.
He returned to the scene of the crime, Butler, Pennsylvania, for the first time since the attempted assassination, which, you know, surprisingly, we don't talk about that much anymore. We don't see it talked about that much in the media, but he did go back.
Return of the fight. He's getting the shots, now he's back. He ain't straight. Return of the fight. Oh my God. Return of the slack.
No, that was for the Brian Stelter.
That's different.
Came back.
Oh, that's a different return.
It is a different return.
Okay.
It's always a return.
Did muscle memory.
That's Stelter too. Stelter harder.
Yeah. Oh, I hardly know her. Plus, I'm gay.
Stelter harder. The pool boy made an appearance.
No time.
Here's the Trump returning to Butler clip.
Lee, thank you very much, really. And thank you.
One of the
a
greatest
very
lines ever.
big
Here it comes.
Thank you to Pennsylvania. We love Pennsylvania. And as I was saying,
If the media did their job, that's an iconic line. Here's what I love. He actually goes back to what he was saying. Watch.
oh, I love that. I love that chart. I love that graph.
He's got a pillowcase with that chart on it that he just snuggles up to every day.
My perfect chart. You're going to love my chart. It's made of the finest Egyptian charts. You're an asshole.
Finest Egyptian papyrus.
Yeah. That chart saved my life.
It's made from fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls. You're going to love my pillow chart.
Not true.
How many people do you think were confused? Where he's like, as I was saying, like, well, for the lines, like, I love this chart. And he gets back into the key facts. Like, what is that? What was he? I don't really remember what he was saying because I remember bullets flying. But he actually remembered the chart.
That was perfect.
If the media did their job, that is just
It'd be everywhere this morning.
just as iconic as the only thing to fear itself is ask not what you can do for your country. You know, I won't hold my opponent's inexperience against him from Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Well, they're already blaming him for the attempt in the first place.
I know.
Sure.
They're so annoyed by that. They're like, oh, yeah, he set it up for sure.
Right. Yeah.
It's all been a setup.
See, that is one of the greatest lines. Honestly, you can, even if you're a leftist, if you're a moderate, don't you have to go, all right, that was pretty badass, right? And of course, one of the richest men ever, Elon Musk, made an appearance. And it's very telling. He's not taking the easy path. If I don't agree with him on everything, and I don't, I have to respect it.
Free speech is the bedrock of democracy. And if people don't know what's if they don't know the truth, how can you make an informed vote? You must have free speech in order to have democracy. That's why it's the First Amendment. Be a pest to everyone you know, people on the street everywhere. Vote, vote, vote. Fight, 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 vote.
So Elon Musk right now is getting a lot of guff on Twitter because he said that these platforms have to be neutral. And people are like, hey, Elon, what happened to you being neutral? And it's like, oh, no. The left never can quite understand this. Elon Musk is not neutral.
Of course not.
His platform is.
He's open about it. His bias. I have no problem with someone who's open about it.
But his platform is. That is the crux of this. He can hold a position that is so important to who he is that he's going to get on a plane and go speak at a Trump rally, and yet allow the Krasensteins on his platform.
As seen by the fact that most of the trash talk toward Elon Musk was directed to him on X.
Yes. And he doesn't ban people for that. That is the free speech example that the left is attacking right now that we have been trying to drill into them. You can have whatever opinion you want. Just don't make the platforms enforce your worldview, period. And we're fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, we agree on worldviews, me and Elon Musk, but he banned me for breaking the rules.
Well, you did.
I broke the rules.
You called for the death.
Right?
Well, that was
That's what happens.
that was a moderator.
So.
And
Well, still.
that one is on the line.
But that's that's what I'm saying. I'm admitting.
When I saw it, I
saying
was like,
I was out of
oh.
line, and then he followed through with it. If he was truly,
Yeah.
biased, he wouldn't have done that kind of stuff. So.
No, I think that's actually a good point. And of course, this rally, it lit the internet ablaze. It was a big deal. That line was trending everywhere. People were talking about it. And so the media took it upon themselves, as neutral as they are, to fact check the rally. Now, they don't even fact check the interviews, the very few and far between interviews that Kamala Harris has done. And by the way, she's going to be live on Howard Stern tomorrow. Please comment below. We were thinking about actually live streaming it and pre-gaming with a half-hour or 45-minute history of Howard Stern, just to cut him off at the knees with all the virtue signaling. Don't know if you know his past. He's kind of pulled the ladder up behind him. Let us know if you want the show at your regularly scheduled programming time, or if you'd like to have a special live stream of Kamala Harris on Howard Stern, because I think that's going to be a rough one.
And it's going to be 1 Eastern, so it would be noon. So we'd probably start around 11:30 Central Time tomorrow. If that's the case.
I'm for
if you
it.
guys want it, let us know. Vote right
Central Time.
Yep.
So 12:15 Eastern.
Yes.
For people who live in the Satan's
time zone.
zone. So the media
or the
fact
Varma
check.
time zone, one of the two.
Hey, that's enough. The media fact checked. Don't refer to him as Satan.
I said he's not.
He's not as effective as Satan. The media fact checked a rally. It's time for fact checking the fact checkers.
Tweet check. Fact Trump. Trump fact check. Tweet. Fact check. News.
All right. So we'll do this in kind of a 3-tiered sequence. What Donald Trump said, what the media tried to say in their fact check, and then, of course, the truth. So here is what Donald Trump said as far as illegal immigration. He talked about illegal border crossings being the lowest under his tenure as opposed to now.
I love that chart. I love that graph. Isn't it a beautiful thing? But also beautiful because look at the number. That's the day I left office. It was the lowest border patrol, the lowest it's ever been. Illegal immigration. Today it's out of control. They're releasing murderers. They're releasing drug dealers. They're releasing gang members and criminals, human traffickers. Mostly they traffic in women. And they're releasing them all into our country, and they're emptying their are way down.
Okay. So media said with their fact check, all references available at leddarofcutter.com. You can click the link in the description. They said Trump highlighted a low migrant encounter total during April 2020 and claimed that was when he left office. But his presidency ended in January 2021. The chart also alluded to Trump's pants on fire claim that millions of immigrants came illegally to the United States from jails, prisons, or mental institutions during Biden's administration. Trying to imply, well, that's not true.
Even true at all.
Oh, it's just coincidence.
Right. Here's the truth, okay? Even if you don't want to take the month of April because he was going pre-COVID, let's just look at the average crossings compared to Donald Trump and Biden-Harris. I keep wanting to say Harris-Biden. Trump, the average monthly crossings during his tenure, 41,000. Biden-Harris, 220,000. 41,000 to 220,000.
I would have said 41,000 was high just as a number without any context until I look at the next one and I'm like, oh, that was fantastic.
Yeah. And the months even after April still would have been the lowest in modern American history outside of his tenure. It's just that he had an all-time low of April. So this is what you need to understand. It's not, do they apply fact checking? Technically, they're correct that April is not the last month of his presidency. Are they applying it equally?
Yeah.
Are they applying it when Kamala Harris says, border crossings are down. No, they do not apply to. That is verifiably false across the board. Donald Trump, and if you want to discuss nuance, as the left does, oh, I think that's a fairly nuanced and, by the way, one that is defensible. Picked April because it was pre-COVID. The media doesn't apply it equally.
Yeah.
Let's consider this. That one, of course, fact check. Done. All right. Next. Lovely. The other truth is he was talking about Venezuela emptying prisons, right? Sending criminals to the southern border, right? Mm-hmm. Well, they tried to claim that wasn't true. You just saw that from PolitiFact. Let me tell you, it is true. Okay, and bring that up from NBC, overlay D2. It is true. They are emptying their prisons. They are sending criminals to the southern border. The DHS, by the way, as of June, there are over 100 investigations into crimes tied to Venezuelan gangs who crossed illegally. So it's been acknowledged that they have been emptying out asylums in prisons. You can read that article at NBC. And there are 100 investigations that we know of on record, DHS, criminal gangs from Venezuela who've crossed illegally. By the way, 2023, the Venezuelan violent crime rate or violent deaths, 22-year low.
Wow. Ooh. That's what he claimed. He said their crime rate has gone down dramatically. 22-year low would say that that's accurate.
And according to Bloomberg, that is following years of massive migration as both criminals and victims fled. So you have Bloomberg, you have NBC saying, yeah, that's true, when they weren't under a microscope. And then you have investigations at the DHS saying, well, the results seem to imply that it's true. I think we can consider that one fact checked. Fact check!
By the way, how bad does your country have to be that both criminals and the victims of the criminals flee at the same time, which means they're traveling together?
Yes. Do they have like a truce?
Yeah, like a buddy system
through the journey?
Hey,
Perhaps even for next week, the evening there, we're going to start looking outside.
Because if I tell him, then I don't want him thinking, oh, well,
when we get to America, we're together, boys.
Yes. I'll rape you when we get there.
That's fine.
But right now, we have peace.
It's unsafe here in
we have peace.
this country.
You can take off your chastity belt when you sleep.
Give your victims hope.
Yes. I will poison your soul with hope. When we get to El Paso, I rape.
I want a better life. I want better victims.
It's true. He's so hard. He's so hard to get. The energy is like raping a bag of bones. I want to rape somebody plump.
American. Eyes and juicy with the trans fats. Under carbohydrates.
I want to sexually accost my 900-pound life.
I want to be where the Lizzos are.
I like to play a game called Where is the Hole?
That's right. I want to be on TLC now. Walking around with, what do you call them? Hover rounds.
Sugar foot.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, where they're actually crossing with the victims. All right, here's the next one. What Donald Trump said. He said that Kamala Harris is prioritizing foreigners over Hurricane Helene victims.
What's happened there is very bad. They're offering them $750
Can
to
you
people
pause?
whose homes have been.
Could they not clean the bulletproof glass?
Well, I mean, it's
I thought, it's hard to tell. It looks like his suit's been rained on.
It looks like a mirror in a parakeet's cage.
I tell you what, $750 wouldn't fix that.
A squeegee and a guy from New York would freaking I don't care that. We're fine.
All right, let's finish the clip.
Washed away. And yet we send tens of billions of dollars to foreign countries that most people have never heard of. They're offering them.
Okay. So again, the media has fact-checked them. They were doing it again live right now. Here's what they have said. This comes from CNN. Former President Donald Trump has delivered a barrage of lies and distortions about the federal response to Hurricane Helene. All right. Well, let's look at the truth. The DHS Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, has told people that FEMA wouldn't have enough funding for the rest of the hurricane season. So this is kind of the baseline that matters. This is why Donald Trump is addressing this in the public. All right. Now, could we follow the money and say, well, maybe there's a reason for that? Well, in 2024, Congress appropriated $650 million to FEMA for its shelter and services program, which gives illegal immigrants shelter such as hotel, motel services, food, transportation, including plane tickets, up to $700 a person. And right now, the hurricane victims are getting about $700, $750 after this hurricane. So maybe if they didn't spend money on trying to buy votes, those in a hurricane scenario, in a natural disaster scenario, could actually have their government fulfill one of its few legitimate purposes.
Unbelievable.
You could have bought those votes.
Yeah.
Could
Can you
have bought those
imagine
North Carolina votes.
how pissed off you would be right now if you got a, if you had to go and apply for the $750, right? And you're like, yeah, you got $750, but that's it. And you gave $700 in a plane ticket, just the plane ticket, not the food, not the lodging, not the other stuff for the people that shouldn't even be here in the first place. Right. You're not pissed off? You'd be right now, like $750. That's why people are mad.
Here, I'm going to draw you guys, and bring up on that camera.
Oh, wow,
I'm just
okay.
going to draw you guys a quick chart, okay?
Oh, we
Is
love
it a
charts.
penis? It's not a penis again, is it?
Oh, I hope it's a Venn diagram.
Hold on a second, okay?
I love Venn diagrams.
All right, he's doing.
Okay.
Is this Common Core or is this?
Here we go. All right. Here's the giant tax pool, okay? I just wrote HV for hurricane victims paying $700 in taxes. Now, typically speaking, you would pay this money in
$750.
taxes.
You get $750.
No. I'm just saying there.
Oh,
Just.
I'm with you.
It's my drawing.
It's your drawing. Go for it.
Okay.
It's like boobs.
$700 into taxes. All right. Okay. Typically, you're making a deposit, right? And the whole reason that you sign on to being a citizen of a country is because you're investing in something where hopefully by the end of your life it yields dividends, right? You're better off living in that country. So then that giant pile increases, and we see 700 out plus, I don't know, 50 billion.
Oh, I don't know. Just,
What's 50 billion between friends?
Yeah. So you see this right here, and I've labeled them just for the purposes of brevity here, Mexicans. So this giant tax pool, $700 for plane tickets, and then I don't know, $50 billion for Mexicans to come here illegally and be granted citizenship or some pathway to citizenship. Now these victims are looking to withdraw their money, right? Take it back, and instead they can't because it's all been given to Mexicans. Does that explain it to you? They've paid for illegal immigrants. They've paid for the purchasing of votes through the money laundering scheme that is the United States government at this moment in time, this administration in particular. And then when it comes time to make a withdrawal, one that would be completely legitimate. I'm not an anarchist and I'm not a libertarian anymore. I think that it's a legitimate role of government if citizens of this country need help because of an act of God. For crying out loud, even insurance programs cover that. They don't get it because of an act of Congress.
He says the case is.
Makes sense? Excuse me. Fact check. I forgot about it. Good.
The new hit piece is going to be Steven Crowder says Mexicans.
Yes. Well, I can't say Mexicans. I said it was a pejorative. The YouTube, the Vox Apocalypse.
That's fair.
That was one of the epithets they listed. Sprite,
Lispy
Lispy
person.
queer.
Oh, can we say that?
I can say it. I just can't say it at someone who's actually a Lispy
okay,
queer.
So Lispy queer.
And Mexican.
wow.
Yeah, I couldn't.
So I'm bucking the sign. All right. Here's another claim that was made from Donald Trump when he was speaking directly to the people, and that's why he's winning this election right now. He's now a 4-point spread on Polymarket.
How did you know that? Oh, no, not Polymarket. I'm sorry. There was a 4-point change in a YouGov poll. It's now 47-47.
Oh, no, I meant
That's a brand new thing.
Polymarket.
I'm sorry,
He's right now at
So you
50
said 4-point
points.
spread, and that messed me up because the last poll that came out had Kamala Harris up by 4. It's tied now on a poll that typically veers Harris big time. That's
right.
brand new. Sorry, you just triggered me.
What's less interesting than Polymarket?
Triggered bad. No, it's not.
Oh, wow. It's actually it's a 6-point spread. That changed since I was on the John preparing for this show.
Wow. He was spread
Now,
wide open himself.
How does my tide nationally look to you now?
Less interesting than the point I was bringing up. Still.
Yes.
All right. So here's what Donald Trump was saying directly to the people that the Harris Biden administration is costing you. He said has cost you, but 29
5 words you pronounce wrong 2 years before your brain starts shutting down. Dementia is now known as type 3 diabetes.
$1,000 more, give or take, through inflation.
She costs you $29,000 a family through inflation price hikes.
Okay, so here's what the media has said. We rated a similar Trump claim, citing 28,000 as mostly false. The 28,000 is a likely estimate of increased spending for items such as food, shelter, transportation, and energy. But wages also increased,
Bullshit.
evening out much, or depending on the time period, all of the increased costs. Now, I looked, could not find from PolitiFact where they said that wages increased any evidence of that. And so I looked to third-party economists. Every single one said that's not true.
Yeah.
So I feel
Where?
It's actually
torn.
the opposite, right?
Where is that?
I feel torn by the speed at which I'm being pulled away from even believing that it's possible PolitiFact is telling the truth. Here is the truth that under Kamala Harris and Biden, we've talked about this, costs are up and incomes are down. Okay. So compared to when Harris and Biden took office, okay, a family of 4 needs to make $17,000 more per year just to live the exact same lifestyle. Now let's add up household income. What we saw under Donald Trump, household income went up by an average of $4,000. Under the Harris-Biden administration, it has gone down by $4,200. So add that up, $17,000. Then you add up that $8,000 gap. Okay, at that point you're getting close. Let's call it an even 25. If the media is doing their job and they are trying to help you make informed decisions, how are they helping you by simply saying, no, you're not losing $28,000. Your wages have gone up. You know it's not true. They know it's not true. Are they serving their purpose when they try to catch a man who, if the election were held today, would be the president of the United States again on a technicality? The media, as it exists now, legacy media, is the enemy of a free and informed people. You can comment if you disagree. This has been Fact Checking, the Fact Checkers.
Tweet check. Fact Trump. Trump fact check. Tweet fact check. News.
So you know it's true.
Right.
100% true.
That proves it.
Because it's true.
Yes.
Let it go.
What do you think, Mr. Clinton staffer? Oh. You know what? I appreciate your commitment to the bit.
I agree with
It's
that.
true. This is
Can't
what you
rattle
guys
'em.
did when I wasn't here and you had a Dolomite chair, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, but the song was different. It was "It's Raining Men."
Hallelujah, it's raining man.
I hate all of you.
There it is.
Which, by the way, a banger. It's a great song.
It is. It's a great song.
But you can't dance to it.
Sometimes when I'm singing it by myself, I sing along to it, but I change men to women.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Ah, dude, I don't.
Only sometimes?
I've been guilty of changing words every now and then, especially when it's the N word.
You're not impressed by the poll? Do you know the poll that's tight? Okay,
I'm just gonna let you sit in that one.
I said I change it. I change it to check my privilege. It's more syllables, also. It's tough.
It's hard to keep the beat.
Yeah, it is hard to keep the beat. I also don't sound as badass when doing DMX.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, Kamala Harris, we wanted to get to this because, of course, this is one that enrages people. Over the weekend, Kamala Harris was, to her credit, helping victims of Hurricane Helene. I'm sorry.
No.
She was doing Call Her Daddy podcast. And by the way, just so you understand how out of touch, before we get to the segment, Kamala Harris is, the October 2nd episode was titled Blowjobs, Hall Passes, and Frat Daddies. Next up, the vice president.
Who's done all of those things?
And she said, can I get the rights to that title for my autobiography? And I said, we'll consider it. Thank you. So it taped last week, and this is why we do this live. Nothing up our sleeves, right? It's 9:58 Central right now. You can see it. We can confirm it right here on CNN for people who are watching. It's a commercial. This is something that has always bothered me. We'll have to pre-tape, for example, if we are taping with someone who's in a different time zone across the world, or sometimes people will be traveling in, like Ash Wednesdays. But there's something to be said for live broadcasting. It's a lot harder to cheat. It's harder to cheat both as the performer, as the content creator, and it's harder to cheat as far as the numbers. Anyone can buy views. Anyone can buy plays. That live ticker and live ticket sales, not how many people can you canvass and fit in a room for free. Live ticket sales, live viewer number is the hardest number to cheat online. So Kamala Harris avoids it like the plague. It was taped last week. It aired on Sunday, and it did include all of the hard-hitting, all of the hard-hitting journalism that you've come to expect from the blowjobs, hall passes, and frat daddy queen.
It's outrageous. It's outrageous. I mean, daddy gang, to put it in our TikTok terms, I have seen girls on the street walk up to men and be like, do you know where a tampon goes? Do you know how many tampons we use?
Pause.
Do you
Yeah,
even
no,
know-
men don't know. We just invented them and pay for them. And very often go to the store and buy them. And you joke about how we don't get the right size. Oh, all right. Hey, go purchase your man who's a football player in college a mouth guard. Or, I don't know, teach him how to throw a perfect spiral. This idea that men don't know anything about, do men know where a tampon goes? No. Why don't you show me through that chasm, that bottomless pit that you call your snatch. By the way, I don't know if it's your fault that you look like Jan the Muppet, but something tells me that your genetics are revealing.
Oh, God.
Hey, man, you don't know what a tampon is like, man. Just reverse the roles. Do women know what it's like? Okay, sorry. Before we even started playing it, finish the clip.
Goes. Do you know how many tampons we use? Do you even know how, do you know what a X or Y or Z is of a part of our, and they don't know the answer.
I was Trans men know.
First vice president or president to ever in office go to a reproductive health care clinic, ever.
Really?
Yes.
No, not really.
I didn't know that, but I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it's because you don't know anything. Just like you don't know the fact. Do men even? Hey, do you know that 92? I guess Jerry Maguire could. 92% of workplace deaths are men. When was the last time you worked in a foundry?
It also sounded like Kamala said a hair club.
Yes.
Reproductive hair club.
Reproductive hair club.
No, sorry, that was.
Do you understand? Like the amount of convenience and comfort items that have been invented for women by men. I don't know if we can. I bet you would have a single-digit percentage going the opposite way as far as convenience and comfort items invented exclusively for men by women.
They could unplug the country. And then real casualties, mass casualties, and mass chaos, like true chaos.
Oh, yeah.
People are not prepared for this. They haven't thought it through. Our leaders have not prepared them for it at all. It's like
this is the war of the sexes, and the left, they have to keep it alive.
Yeah.
And then they claim that you are being divisive if you respond to it. And this is, by the way, not addressed to all women, but the kind of women who are brainwashed by this show and the talking points we are about to get into. It starts off with, do men even talk about straw manning? Do men know where a tampon goes? You could go to the Deliverance, Hear the Banjo Hills of West Virginia. Find the most hills have eyes looking hillbilly you could imagine. And I guarantee you, if you gave him a little doll and said, show me where the tampon goes, they're going to snatch. Every single man on earth knows, just like you know how contraception works in 2024. Let's stop playing the dummy game.
Yeah. Well, and look, our anger, like you said, it's at the host brainwashing this audience of young and mostly young women that watch the show and filling them with all of these lies as though it's truth. And by the way, I think the example with West Virginia, I'm like, yes, do you know how to clean a gun? What's the point? I don't understand the point that she's making there. Like, do you know where this goes? What if I answer generally there? Right. Are we good now? Does that make me now able to speak on women's issues? No, of course not.
Let me set this up. And I had these conversations with not only we have some, you know what they never say? I am strong and independent. They just get shit done. Yes. You know, like the men do in the office, who are decent employees, just to be clear. Not all men, not all women, but it's not a constant soliloquy as to what they can do with their memories, okay? It's completely irrelevant to what we do. But I will make this case, and you can tell me if you disagree. They're trying to paint this as though men don't understand the issues that are exclusive to women. I would argue that men have walked a mile in the shoes of women far more than women have with men. We may not have experienced it firsthand, but men are constant, because we have to, and we have had to historically, protect those rights, protect and recognize those gender differences in order to reproduce and have a healthy village, have a healthy tribe. We've had to at least kind of project ourselves into their shoes. I will tell you this. I think that most men know where a tampon goes. We don't know what it's like to have a monthly period. That's true. But women often don't know what it's like to go your entire life without ever receiving a compliment once from a stranger. That's the life that men live. Women don't know what it's like. And I don't know if you've put yourself in these shoes. Imagine walking into high school every single day knowing that imminent violence is possible. Every single day. It's not gossip. It's not ostracizing. Men grow up under the perpetual threat of violence. You step out of line, you get your ass kicked. How many women know what it's like to have their ass kicked in front of their friends and being forced to eat dirt? How many women know what it's like to actually be physically done? And I don't just mean in an isolated scenario, as part of your developmental process. Hey, how many women know what it's like and this is something where you often get women will say men are infantilizing children. I don't know if you know this, but men are constantly infantilized as they are raised by people who love your helmet, rattle it, and say, "What are you doing? Get your dumb ass in the game," and smack you, and not hate that person, and not say you have no right to talk down to me or mansplain to me. I don't think women have put themselves in the shoes of men quite a whole lot. I don't think that women understand or have tried to be understanding of what it's like to be coached, what it's like to be bombarded with the message that, hey, you are only loved conditionally. You will have to. I don't know if you know this. You know who told men that first? God said, "You'll toil by the sweat of your brow." And he told women, you have greater pain in childbirth, right? These are unfortunately the consequences to the fall of man. But I actually think that women are less understanding of men, or even less interested in making the attempt than most men that I have met, as a blanket statement. You can let me know if you disagree.
And you know what I've never told any of the women in this office? You don't understand about men, so you don't have an opinion. Right. That's what I was saying before. Of course, that doesn't buy me the right if I know where a tampon goes, because I already have the right to have an opinion. Right. Just like they have a right to have an opinion about anything else that's going on.
Yep.
I don't mind you talking about a men's issue. If you don't understand it, completely fine. I don't care. You still have a right to talk about it, idiots.
Yeah. But it doesn't go both ways. Like Nick DiPaolo said, like women say, you want to have an opinion. How many of you have carried a baby? He goes, all right. How many have carried a football? Get the hell off SportsCenter. So let's go through some of the claims that they make. And Kamala Harris is on the We Hate Men podcast, that women have to work harder. And let me just, I know the irony here that she's speaking with Kamala Harris. The host is Alex Cooper, of whom I'm not fond. Here, let's just.
As women, we have to work 10 times harder. We got to be smarter. We got to play the game to even get our foot in the door sometimes. Can you tell the daddy gang?
Pause. Unless you're filleting the mayor, can you point me to, and this is why it matters.
That's a difficult process.
This is why it matters. Can you point me to one example of a man in office who got their first official position in government exclusively as a result of being an above average lay?
Also keeping hurricane.
There are many women. We know that. Kamala Harris is just the most egregious example. So, and I'm not saying that that's all women, but men don't have that same option. No one's going to pay to watch any of us self-satisfy on OnlyFans. We're not going to get ahead by sleeping with a woman in a position of authority. Saying that it's harder, well, you know what? That's one arrow in your quiver. If you're Kamala Harris, or as they were once referred to, Dime Store Floozy. Continue the clip.
People tell you no when people look at you and doubt you.
Mm-hmm.
What does that ignite in you?
So I've been told that many times.
Uh-oh.
And through the course of my career, I've been told, at one point, you're too young. I've been told, oh, nobody like you has ever done that before. Oh, they're not ready for you. Oh, and this is the one that kills me. Oh, it's going to be a lot of hard work, right? As though we don't like hard work. And here's my response. I don't hear no. I don't hear no. And I urge all the daddy gang, don't hear.
Here's what's trending on the ABC 27 News app. The victim in a deadly toy store crash.
No. Just don't hear it.
Here's the problem. I'm getting mixed signals because I was told for a very long time that no means no. And so I know that this wouldn't be a sexist podcast. She's saying don't hear no. So what I'm hearing now is that if we both had a couple of drinks, yes means yes, and no means come again? Yes. Can you imagine if a man said this? I'm sorry, I don't hear no. No! I can't hear you.
I listen to Kamala.
Like a Venezuelan migrant rapist?
Also, that's the person you want on the nuke button.
Yes.
Madam President, no.
I can't hear you.
Nuclear holocaust.
If men said, I don't hear no, women have to work so much harder. Again, we don't have the option of filleting a mayor to get a job. But let's take that off the table. Can you tell me can you point me to one law where men, particularly white men in this country, have an advantage systemically. I don't mean that people like people who are similar to themselves. Is there a quota? Is there affirmative action? Is there a movement that exists?
The protections?
Or are white men told to sit down and shut up on issues as it relates to women, even though it affects them directly, and to check their privilege? I'm sorry, I'm just not buying in the 21st century that women have to work extra hard. Kamala Harris? No. AOC? Absolutely not.
No.
It's not even close. Let's continue now, and this is the issue where they always want to get to. This is why she's on the Call Me Daddy podcast. They always try and, in turn, they try and feather the abortion issue in behind all other rights, as though it's not unique, because it's the only right that they, of course, for which they advocate, that involves, arguably, though not arguably scientifically, it's pretty much settled science, the infringing upon another body's rights. It's the only law, when you're talking about abortion, it's the only scenario where a human being can legally inflict damage upon another living human being without consent. If you acknowledge that it's a life, and certainly at 9 months, toes, you don't have 20 fingers, you don't have 20 toes, you don't have 2 hearts, you don't have 2 brains, you don't have two central nervous systems. It's the only scenario in this country where you can legally inflict harm upon another living being without their consent. But they try and act like that's not the case. So Kamala went on to explain to Cooper the terrible things that women do in abortion. I'm sorry, to get abortions.
Imagine she's in a state with an abortion ban. 1 out of 3 women are, by the way, in our country. And she's a mom. So she's going to have to figure out, one, God help her if she has affordable childcare. God help her if she has paid leave. And then she's going to
hold on, pause. I think she meant to say God help her if she doesn't have those things, or God bless her if she does. But Kamala is as Kamala do. Continue.
Go to the airport, stand in a TSA line.
No.
Sit on a plane next to a perfect stranger.
What?
Awful.
To go to a city where she's never been.
Pause. You are describing every outgoing flight since the history of ever. Let's make that exact same scenario. Hey, we were going to my buddy's bachelor party this weekend. But first, we had to book a flight. And I had to sit next to a stranger who I've never met before to go that I've never
at Starbucks.
Yes. Just you have to get on a plane with a stranger to a place you've never been. That is a flight.
Why is that a part of the equation too?
And then once you're done, the only media outlet you have is Hudson News, really?
Yeah. And the newspapers are overpriced. They don't even have my biography.
And no one knows why you're flying. Yes. It's not like you have an abortion A engraved on your head.
Yeah.
You're flying out of state to get an abortion. It's like nobody cares.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Are you TSA pre or are you second-class citizen abortion line? That's over there.
That's over there.
Oh, yes. You're in your 3rd trimester. You're not supposed to fly, but it's an abortion, so it's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
No problem.
Well, we actually have a stretchy flight suit for you. We got that from the Air Force.
Fantastic.
Oh, sorry. Continue the clip.
To receive the care she needs, she's going to probably have to get right back on that plane because she's got those kids. Her best friend's probably not with her because that's who's taking care of the kids.
So she knows how kids are made. Got it.
To get back in that TSA line, to get back on a plane, to go home.
Sounds like hell.
I guess I didn't know that it was possible to speak to an audience of leftist feminists and somehow make people less sympathetic to the process of abortion.
Well, look, to be very clear,
she does have a good point about the transportation system in our country.
You're right.
It sucks.
TSA is a violation of human rights most of the time.
And look, before she goes on that plane, she's going to have to plan her day. She's going to have to use a calendar. If she's on a plane where she doesn't like what they serve to eat, she may have to eat breakfast. Grab a bowl, a spoon, perhaps. Milk, cereal. If she's lactose intolerant, oat milk. These are the things you don't think of because no one cares. We only care about the murder of another life and whether that is in fact another life. That's if you don't agree that it's another life, fine, that case can be made. But we're talking about layovers?
Not even that. You never heard the word layover. You heard a TSA line and a stranger on a plane.
Didn't even bring
That's
that
it. What about lost luggage? Don't freaking get me
Call
started.
Pete Buttigieg and whatever that Matt Damon lookalike was. I forgot his name.
This luggage theft guy.
So
Earl,
let's
whoever.
continue now, because what they really want to do is simply make this a play to try and pivot this election that they are losing to abortion. And Kamala Harris flat out lies. But don't expect fact checking from the media on this. Because it's not a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Former President Trump claimed that some states are executing babies after birth. Can you just clarify?
That is not happening anywhere in the United States. It is not happening, and it's a lie. It's a bold-faced.
They could unplug the country. And then you have real casualties, mass.
It is
lie
happening, and you're lying.
that he is suggesting that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? He is suggesting that women in their 9th month of pregnancy
Correct.
are electing to have an abortion. Are you kidding? That is so outrageously inaccurate, and it's so insulting.
There it
to
is.
suggest that would be happening and that women would be doing that.
It's the feminist playbook. It's feign offense, victim, so people don't. It is so insulting to tell me that statistically there were 10,000 term abortions last year, and there are 9 states plus DC that have 0 limits on abortion. Is it insulting? Is reality insulting? It is true. 9, including, by the way, your running mate.
Hold on.
Mr. Walz's. She just said that that's not happening. It is happening. It's the law. It's enshrined into law in 9 states plus DC, and last year alone, 10,000 late-term abortions. We don't know how many of them were at 9 months.
Bring that overlay back up, please. The majority of which take place for elective reasons.
All of them. Almost all of them.
Here's
Less than 1% of all abortions. Less than 1% are rape, incest, or health of the mother. That's a fact.
But that's the argument that they would have made. It's
Of course.
like, hey, at that point, it has to be done because of the health of the mother. Almost all of them for elective reasons.
3rd trimester
That's
abortions.
the end of the argument. That is the absolute end of the argument, period, done. And you made a good point. We talked about this earlier. Okay, if that is appalling, if that is insulting that women would be doing that, if that is something that is completely beyond the pale, outlaw it.
Get it.
You have an opportunity today to put your campaign in line with outlawing something that you think is not happening, first of all, so it should be pretty easy to outlaw. And second of all, is abhorrent to even consider.
Let me make it easier. Before even getting to outlawing it, how about when asked, would you put any limitations on abortion? Answering anything other than no. It is so insulting that people throw in my face that I don't believe in any limitations on abortion whatsoever. Sorry, you don't get to take the moral high ground by saying it's insulting. Kamala Harris and Miss Cooper, you don't get to do that. It's 10 to 15,000 late-term abortions every single year, entirely for elective reasons. And 9 states plus DC have it on the books as law that you cannot restrict abortions. There are no exceptions whatsoever up until and including birth, period. And the media just says, that's not true. Again, go check the references. You can read the laws for these states.
Yeah. And then Tim Walz basically passed a law, essentially signed a law that removed the requirement to save the baby's life if it was born alive, right? The born alive thing. And basically just provide care.
To babies who have survived abortions. They don't even have to do that.
Fetus hospice.
Yeah. It's the law. If
You
you
wanna
didn't,
get it.
if you didn't intend to abort the baby, it's the law. The hospital has to require life-saving care.
Yes.
The only change is that you don't want it. So let me ask you this.
Exactly.
What defines a human life? I will tell you this. My definition is at the moment of fertilization. Why? Because that's when new human DNA, unique to that human being, is created. Okay, you may not agree with that. Let's go to a heartbeat. Okay. Now let me ask you this. Where do you define a life? In Minnesota, it is defined legally by whether the mother wants it. 9-month-old baby. If you weren't trying to have an abortion, it's the law because it's a life to protect it, provide it life-saving care. If the mom says, I didn't want this baby, the law says you don't because it's no longer a life. Should we determine life based on whether the parent wants it? Because if that's the case, well, let's get to this next point, because I have an argument here. This one is the tired old argument that only women have to toil and struggle against the government for their bodily autonomy.
I want to pose this question more to you and the Daddy Gang, but one of the biggest conversations in this year's election revolves around a woman's body.
No, it doesn't.
I want to take a moment and can we try to think of any law that gives the government the power to make a decision.
I know what you're going to ask.
About a man's body.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Is there any law?
No. It's no.
Yes. Yes. Many laws. As a matter of fact, the exact same laws that apply to you. I don't know if you know this. The exact same laws that apply to you in your bodily autonomy apply to men. So, for example, neither a woman nor a man can use their body to commit assault, to commit battery, to commit murder, to commit theft, to libel or slander. Basically, the laws mean you cannot use your body to inflict damage upon another citizen, right? Your rights end where someone else's rights begin. Now, I can wave my hand unless someone's face is in the way. Now I'm violating their rights, right? Your rights end where someone else's individual bodily autonomy rights begin. Outside of that, no, you have the exact same rights. The only exception, can we just be honest about this? The only exception is the scenario in which another life happens to be located inside of your body. That is the only exception. I think it's remarkably consistent. As a matter of fact, the only consistent point of view is the person who says you cannot commit a violent act against another fellow human being, period, rather than the person who says, well, you can't do it except for when it's small enough, or except for if it's in your body, or except for if it's actually kind of out of your body and you need to finish the job. It's the only time, it's the only scenario in the United States of America where a human being can knowingly inflict damage upon another living being's life. And we are talking about 10 to 15,000 late-term abortions per year, meaning that is a viable human being. There is no debate about that. Wow. And you know what? Actually, let me give you some, let's take that off the table. Selective service.
The
is
draft,
one.
yeah.
Yes.
Which
fight and die for your country. Does that affect your body?
I know. I understand. Women will say, are you really worried about selective service? Well, hold on a second. I get the tone. But it's about what it represents. That's no small thing. It's not just selective service. That means that men have to resign themselves to dying for their family and communities, for them to protect their country. Loved ones, period. They die first. Let's take selective service off the table. Do you think that with the damage in Hurricane Helene, do you not think that there have been many thousands of scenarios where there are groups of people and men were saying, okay, get the kids and the women out first. We'll buy you some time. Let's make sure to get all the women on the buses first. Get out. Let's get all the vehicles to the women. We're going to try and find something else. Hey, that's the fastest route out. Make sure the women and children. Every single time there was a group of 2 or more people, the men, I guarantee you, most men put their bodies on the line. That's what selective service represents. It's no small thing. Yeah. It is kind of a trump card, and that's why 92% of workplace deaths are men. Let's go back, though, to abortion. There is a scenario, I would argue, where men forego their bodily autonomy rights in a way that women do not. Let's take the exact same scenario that she's talking about right there. Okay? Man has baby with woman. Man gets woman pregnant. She gets on a flight. Okay? Man decides he wants to own up to his responsibilities and be a father to the child he created. So while she has to go through the trauma of a flight, getting on a plane with a stranger, with an arrival and itinerary, that man knows that woman is going off with his future son or daughter that he wants to raise, and there's nothing he can do about it. He has no say in it. He completely forgoes his rights to his own bodily autonomy. Hey, how about this? If we want to say, hey, we want to even the playing field, if you want to take any responsibility for your actions, that would be great. But if you don't, at least don't forbid men from being able to do so. I think that if a man signs a paper, says, I will raise this child that I helped create, that child needs to be delivered. Now, I know here's a problem is we've conceded so much territory because I can hear the responses. You would force a woman to carry a baby? Remember, it's the only exception to the law that we just described. No, I'm not forcing anyone to do anything. I'm simply enforcing the exact same laws we always do as a country in forbidding you from killing it. And that's assuming that we reach the point in 2024 that you don't understand contraception, chastity, motherhood, adoption, and you've reached that point and you have a man who says, you know what, I do, I'm willing to raise that child. Why does the man forego his rights? And I'm sure there will be some men out there who would try and convince a woman to get an abortion, to try and abdicate their duty. Those men are piles of human garbage, right? If we agree on that, can we also agree that if a man is willing to be a father to the children he created, you don't get to unilaterally strip him of that right? That's like being an Indian giver with sperm.
Ew. That's so gross.
Any other scenario? Why are we only focused on the woman's? Well, she doesn't forego her right to proactively end a life. But what about the man's right to simply reactively preserve the life he's already created?
Yeah.
The logic's hard because this is the same people that'll say that a trans man is a real man, and then when they say that a trans man can't have an abortion, then it's mine's gonna explode. Men don't know what we're talking about except for trans men, but they're not real, but they are real men.
Right, because they let this off. Do men even know where a tampon goes? Well, men can get periods too. Well,
no. Oh, I forgot we said that.
All right. And here's the overarching theme, and I think what Kamala Harris went on this show. It's bad. Also, Kamala Harris is allergic to personal responsibility or accountability in much the way that a vampire is to garlic. That is the overarching theme of this show, disguised as reproductive rights.
It's been very difficult as a young adult in this country right now is like, there are so many policies I could sit here and talk to you about, but Call Her Daddy has been rooted in supporting women and talking about women and lifting women up because it is no denying that we have always been underserved and we are treated like second-class citizen to men, right? I do want to focus on abortion for a moment because—
Give me one example. Let's just take abortion off the table. I believe we've covered that thoroughly. Even if you disagree, just for the sake of argument, we have to acknowledge that abortion would be a new one because it's the only women are second-class citizens. One example where rights are afforded to men in the United States of America today that are not afforded to women. One example. One. Continue.
2 years ago, Roe v. Wade was overturned and women lost their constitutional right to an abortion. I put out an episode about it. I flew to North Carolina. I went to a preferred women's health center. I met with women that were getting screamed at and chanted at and called baby killers. And it was the most eye-opening experience I've ever had because I am a privileged white woman that lives in Los Angeles, and I am so aware of that. I was raised Catholic.
Well, pause. Go down to Skid Row, stark naked, and fix it. I'm a white, privileged woman from Los Angeles. You could fix it. You could forego your privilege at any moment, Miss Podcaster. Keep playing.
Your $40 million a year contract.
Yes. Yes.
Let's acknowledge.
I think I did math correctly there.
I think so.
Pretty close.
40 plus.
Abortion is a sin. And when I put out that episode, I had a lot of women reach out to me saying like, wow, I live in the South and I never thought about it that way. Like maybe I am pro-choice because I won't get an abortion because of my religion, but why should we control what someone else wants to do?
Yeah, this is someone who's never thought about issues seriously their entire life, which is why it's very eye-opening that Cooper has a massive audience with a podcast. It's 5 million weekly listeners, I believe. Oh, no, wait, it's not eye-opening. It was bought and paid for by other corporations who decided, yeah, you're good enough. This is not someone who's informed themselves. This is not someone who's developed an audience organically because people thought that she had something insightful to offer. This is a woman who was attractive enough and good enough as a host that was propelled through other giant companies, largely funded by men. Let's be clear. She has had it easier being a middling, attractive woman, parroting feminist talking points, than a man would. That opportunity would not be afforded to them. And by the way, this is also an important
they could unplug the country.
Point here. They're talking about these rights which are under attack from men. Again, you cannot point me to one example, but let's just be honest here. Women's rights, in the same way that smaller, weaker, less capable men's rights are an illusion. So I'm not saying because you're a woman. What I'm saying is that rights are only as enforceable as those who have the fortitude and ability to enforce it. Your rights only exist if you have a powerful enough protecting force, be it military, intelligence, to ensure that people who want to do away with your rights don't come in and take them. It applies the same, it applies to a lot of men. It applies to all women because you can't fight the wars. That's why you're not enlisted for the draft. Let's be really clear about this. If men collectively, particularly the strong men in positions of power, wanted to strip you of your rights, tomorrow you have no rights. That's the cold, hard reality. I'm not saying that it would be right. I'm saying that it happens all the time. For proof, go to any country in the Middle East or almost any country in the continent of Africa. Women's rights, just as weak men's rights, are an illusion. They're afforded to you by people who understand that. And by the way, here's the cold water. They're afforded to you by people who believe in the founding fathers, rich white guys, according to you, vision for this country, and that rights of all individuals are to be protected. But we just throw it around, women's rights. If the powerful men here didn't want you to have any rights, you wouldn't be having a conversation. You certainly wouldn't be arguing that it's a gross violation of human rights to not be able to kill your baby in the 9th month. I'm sorry, that never happens, except we want to ensure that we still have the legal right to do so. What do you think would happen, for example, if Iran was not kept on any kind of a leash and they could dominate globally? What do you think your rights look like? They don't. We don't need to take Iran. China. They don't. Coney from Africa. Anywhere throughout all of human history, women's rights, as they're discussed on this show, are cute, but they're an illusion. They're not real in the sense that you haven't achieved them because of your fight for them. You could fight as hard as you want. You could never grant anybody a right because you'd lose. And there should just be a little bit of recognition and gratitude that one nation in the history of the world said, hey, you know what? We're in a complete position of power and authority, and this is pre-technology, where it really did come down to brute force, and we're going to use it to ensure that a group of people who could do nothing to forward these rights is afforded them. The way you describe it is an illusion. The way it exists systematically deconstructs your entire point to begin with. And these people are voices for millions of Americans. This podcast is the #4 most listened to podcast in America, 90% female audience. And the first, if she were, God forbid, see, I'm using that correctly, to become president, the first female president would be one who got her foot in the door through fellatio.
Speaking of which,
what?
I have Kamala Harris's father on the line.
Oh, that's right. And before we bring him on the line, by the way, we are going to continue, of course, on Mug Club. And if you haven't joined up yet, look, we have specials for every major event leading up to between now and the election. Not only do you get this show, an additional 100% of show, you also get Mug Club Undercover. And everyone gets Mug Club Undercover, but that's what supports it. Nick DiPaolo every single day. This does not exist without you. And I'm sure you can guess by the topics we discussed today, it is not monetized on YouTube at all.
Well, so before we go to him on that call too, like, did we get a vote on whether they want us to stream Stern or not?
I don't know that we got an official vote, but we did get several people who chimed in, and here's just some of the responses. Lots of yeses, lots of hell yeses.
By the
some
way, do
no's,
it is spelled D-O space I-T. Not
No. It's the do.
Mountain Do It.
Yeah.
Mountain Do It. Yes.
Brokeback Mountain.
I'm more what's the word I'm looking at? Partial to surge.
Wow.
The original energy
Several
drink.
pull.
Yeah, the one that's banned in
It was
19
like
countries.
energy
Jolt Cola is the one
used to come on. The commercial would come on after Rocket Power.
That was a young what's his name? The guy from Magic Mike, Channing Tatum. That's a young Channing
Oh.
Tatum in that car.
Oh, I
There's
didn't know
Mountain Dew
that.
where it's like spinning around, and they're like either Surge or Mountain Dew.
He became Magic Mike. That's so cool.
He did. He did
Yeah.
become Magic Mike.
Anyway, so it looks like we're doing it.
All right, I'm calling an audible. Tomorrow we are going to live stream
Nice.
the Howard Stern interview with Kamala Harris. So that's going to be
Yeah.
at noon Central. I guess
Noon
it
Central, so we'll
starts
start-
at 1 Eastern.
Yep.
So
we'll
noon
start-
Central. So we'll start a half hour beforehand.
Bing.
So at 11:30 Central to give you a little bit of background information on Howard Stern. I think a lot of people now have met the newer, softer, disingenuous, phony Stern,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
don't know the one who had strippers play harmonicas with their vaginas. But of course, now he's a
possible?
champion of women. He also had he also had. I mean, people killed themselves as a result of working with Howard Stern.
Well, that's
I mean, he
difficult.
directly exploited the disabled.
Yeah. Yeah.
You may not know this. How much do you know about Howard Stern's history? By the way, I don't hate Howard Stern. I just hate that he's now deciding the rules for thee, not for me. This was the shock jock who did all this stuff. Now I was like, oh, no,
The original.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be called a Howard Stern impersonator back then. You even tried to do something edgy. What,
Yeah.
You think you're Howard Stern?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you think you're Howard? It's like, well, I think he thinks he's Don Imus. Ah, crap. That's right. So we actually do have, before we continue,
Yeah,
we do have Kamala Harris's father. And by the way, this is not a joke. Kamala Harris's father, his name is Donald J. Harris.
That's
Now, she may not know that
One
because
Joe.
she doesn't know her father.
aw.
No, Joe.
But that is Kamala Harris's dad's name. And we have him
Yes.
on the show.
Got
Okay,
him on the line.
all right, let's put on Kamala Harris's father, Donald J. Harris. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Harris. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no problem, man. Look, I get right to it. My daughter was on the car, met at the show, and I tell you something right now. She never called her father.
Well, I can't say that I'm surprised. When did you last hear from her?
Last December, she drunk dialed me after the White House Christmas party.
Oh, well, that's nice to wish you good tidings.
No, man. She asked me to guess who she been pounding on a Resolute days.